Chen was still wide-eyed and blushing, and Yi Qingwu merely stared at him eagerly. He then discovered something was missing in Yi Qingwu and became enraged, but he said nothing. That was her necklace, and Chen lamented the fact that Yi Qingwu wasn't wearing the jade pendant. Chen knew Yi Qingwu was overly generous, and she knew she couldn't refuse him in front of him, so she received the jade pendant. Chen assumed that her absence of the jade pendant meant rejection. And he stated it sadly, and Yi Qingwu merely smiled, believing Chen was only proud of what she did while holding the jade cicada wings in her hand. She spoke up, telling him that she had discovered a lot of plastic items. She then asked him whether he believed they were sufficient. Telling her it's enough, and it must have been difficult for her to walk all the way here, Chen said. "You may enter first," he said. He turned around and took the bag containing the jade cicada wings with no expression. Yi Qingwu was perplexed when she saw what Chen was doing, not knowing what she had done wrong. She then wondered why Mr. Chen was upset when she delivered him cloud cicada wings. She was still perplexed. Yin Shui was pouring Yi Qingwu tea in the living room, and she was shocked that it wasn't Chen. She reflected on how, in the past, Mr. Chen had always poured tea for her, as opposed to today, when he let Yin Shui do it. She was shocked, wondering whether she had done something wrong and enraged him. Chen returned when the door opened. Chen apologized to Yi Qingwu after Yin Shui bowed with respect. He stared down at her for making her wait. Unfortunately, because Yi Qingwu isn't interested in him, being honest with himself should work out better than he imagined, he thought. Chen brought out a bag and told her that this was the money for the plastic materials, and he wasn't too familiar with the market pricing, so if it was low, he asked her to tell him. Yi Qingwu became stunned and worried, informing Chen that there was no need. And Yi Qingwu got depressed as well, wondering why Mr. Chen assigned her this assignment and why he paid her money. Is it really so difficult to say in front of me that he is dissatisfied with me and wants to draw the line? She pondered. But Chen didn't listen, and he grasped her hand and gave her the money, and he later regretted being so fast and causing friction between him and Yi Qingwu. He then turned around and walked away, informing her that he was going to cook and that he would be the first to go. Yi Qingwu was taken aback when she yelled out to Mr. Chen, but he did not turn around. She was even more surprised when Chen didn't turn around or respond to her, and she wondered to herself, "Do you really detest seeing me?" she asked herself. Chen began to run, heartbroken from what he perceived to be a rejection, and Yi Qingwu followed from behind, heartbroken as well, believing Chen hates her, and they both thought, "Whatever, let's not force it." Every chapter seems to exacerbate the misunderstanding. Anyway, near the nameless mountain foot, Yi Qingwu, Qin Yin, and Yi Jinghong were conversing, and she thought Yi Jinghong understood what master meant after hearing what she said. Qin Yin tried to console Yi Qingwu, who was crying. Yi Jinghong stated that he offered her the jade pendant and a tremendous opportunity, but we couldn't see through it since they were lacking. It is understandable that he is irritated when we are late in completing the assignment. Yi Qingwu stopped crying after hearing what her father said and replied, "What father means is that I can return to Mr. Chen's side," she stated. Yi Qingwu had a hopeful expression on her face, which surprised Qin Yin. Yi Jinghong agreed, adding, certainly, but she needs to go back with Qin Potion first and figure out the significance of the handkerchief together, and then they would naturally return. Both Yi Qingwu and Qin Yin said they understand while they were going away. Qin Yin informed Yi Qingwu that she was really envious of her for deciphering the significance of the handkerchief. "The master saw me as an outcast," she reasoned. Yi Qingwu responded that it's the lives of both sisters. Why is it so depressing? She discovered after a minute or two that she had unintentionally left the colorful jade silkworm at the unnamed mountain. In the unnamed mountain view spot, Chen thought Yi Qingwu looked great today. He began to wonder if she may have been valued and respected by the sect. And he sighed in grief as he remembered how lovely Yi Qingwu looked in her new attire. But a split second later, he spit out the stick in his mouth and became even more resolute, declaring Yi Qingwu's future as infinite and he can't give up. He pushed himself. He stood up and told himself that even if he couldn't cultivate, he had to be the best of all mortals, work hard, make money, and become the world's richest man. The vibrant silkworm simply stared at him, in the same mountain. The Chinese white dragon gazed down on the mountain. We may finally learn the story of the skinny horse since he is a dragon. Anyway, the Chinese white dragon converted into her human form, and she said, "I found it." This was the dragon race's fourth princess. She then noticed Xiao Bai, the bird Xiao Wu, and the ant doing something to the horse that neither she nor I can explain. She then grew outraged. That her third brother, the noble prince divine young dragon. How can a lonely beast like Xiao Bai step on his head? Before she could run over there and beat them all up, she came to a halt, her eyes widening in shock as she observed something. She witnessed the actual form of the divine wolf's dog, Sha Wu, the burning sun, crow, and the old demonic ant. And she immediately came to a halt, questioning herself. Why did they become mortal beings and traverse that world? When she turned around, she was even more perplexed and surprised. And she watched the people at work and the chi around them as she exclaimed that even the road workers were professionals. She said in disbelief, and the ones with the lowest cultivation are all at the pinnacle of soul martial arts, just like her. When she noticed this, she flew into the bushes swiftly to hide and see what was going on. While she was in the bushes, she grumbled angrily that she couldn't save her third brother with her current powers, and she claimed that the dragon robe she was wearing can conceal her aura and presence, making it ideal for spying and scouting. Whoever dared to bully my third brother will pay the full price, she thought as she stared. She spotted the emperor and empress pulling an ox to Chen's residence when she looked to the side. And the dragon Ao Bei was taken aback when she realized this was the young master of the Azure Ox clan. So it appears that another master, the same as the skinny horse, is on his way to Chen's home. I'm curious if he'll go insane and become completely devoted to Chen. Oh, and here was an Azure Ox that transformed into a regular ox. Anyway, the bull was sweating as he struggled to escape the people who had kidnapped him. As the emperor and empress struggled to move the bull, Xiao Zi called out to her mother and father. The emperor and empress whirled around, stunned, and the empress mumbled that she had the audacity to ride Senior's mount. Xiao Zi approached them and told her mother and father that Chen had instructed her to ride it. The empress' eyes were filled with pride, and she wondered if Chen thought she was valuable. The emperor chuckled gleefully, saying that they had captured an azure bull from the infinite sea, and that now the three of us could be useful to the senior. It's more like they kidnapped him, and the ox stared at Xiao Zi, certain that they did. And Da Shan grinned and said the master has sentiments for the great mistress. The words, like, and, value, are insufficient to describe it. The empress smiled and inquired of her daughter whether the senior had feelings for her. Xiao Zi blushed and told her mother that, while senior has yet to announce it, what Da Shan said is correct. With a smile, she said, and her mother held her hand. The emperor was wide-eyed, declaring that as long as he gives senior the basketball, he will declare her to be his mistress. The empress smiled, and Xiao Zi smiled back, agreeing. The ox thought to himself, what a family of clowns. They believe such a casual word could have such a profound significance. Finally, we discovered someone who is truly normal. Let's hope he doesn't go insane like the others. The ox kept thinking to himself that he had to see for himself what the powerhouse from Earth would be like. When they came, the ox saw the dragon vine, telling him to die, and he was stunned, sweating bullets. In his head, he yelled that this location was home to the mythical 5 elemental spiritual gatherings, and Xiao Zi called out to Chen, who turned to face them. When Chen noticed what Xiao Zi was doing, he sighed and wondered, how could she ride Da Shan while her parents were walking? Chen smiled as he noticed the empress and emperor had arrived. Xiao Zi then spoke, informing Chen that she had returned. Chen, on the other hand, ignored her and went to her parents, questioning what had brought them here. And why are they carrying an ox? The former emperor responded, saying he was so nice to Xiao Zi that they came to thank him, and this ox is a tribute of gratitude. Chen welcomed them in, telling them to come in for a cup of tea and to leave the ox there, and someone will lead it elsewhere later, while disregarding Xiao Zi. And Xiao Zi wondered, why did senior purposefully ignore me? She thought to herself. While all of this is going on, Ao Bei is listening to what they're saying and notices that they're being respectful to Chen, which leads her to believe that this must be the powerhouse hiding his powers. She assumed she couldn't perceive his great strength because she was too weak to do it. She then hurried out of there as swiftly as she could. She suggested to herself that she contact the elder for assistance in saving her third brother there. Inside the house, Chen told the emperor that since the two of them had arrived, was there anything they needed assistance with? As he served tea for the previous emperor, he inquired. While sipping his tea, the emperor grew reflective. Chen was waiting for the emperor to tell him what he wanted. The emperor and empress, on the other hand, noticed Chen ignoring Xiao Zi and both stared at her, worrying about her not knowing what had transpired. When Xiao Zi noticed her parents looking at her, she knew they were thinking positively, and she wondered to herself, could it be that I was the only one riding, while they walked? The previous emperor became nervous, but he kept speaking, informing Chen that they had come to work for him. What? I'm not surprised any longer. The emperor wishes to work for Chen. Anyway, Chen simply smiled and said, no problem, and that they must rest first, then go to the courtyard and find Yi Jinghong to offer him some work. The previous emperor lifted his hand and laughed nervously, assuring him that everything was great and that they would be there right away. The previous emperor and empress politely bowed for their master, and the previous emperor thanked him, while the empress said it was an honor to serve for him. Chen only thought to himself, what a rustic couple, and he decided that he had to help them. Xiao Zi softly called out to Chen, who turned around to face her. With a blush on her face, she told him that this was for him. Chen was taken aback by the fact that this was a basketball, and he questioned himself. How can there be a basketball? He was perplexed as to how basketball could exist in the Shenwu continent. Chen placed the unusual basketball on the table and informed Xiao Zi that the flowers, plants, and trees in the yard did not require daily watering. Chen instructed her that starting today, she would follow Yi Jinghong, and that he would give her the assignment, and she would execute it. Xiao Zi believes Chen intends to depose her as the great mistress of watering the mountains and rivers and reduce her to the status of a mere follower of Yi Jinghong. She was taken aback, believing she was no longer the great mistress. Xiao Zi then asked why, as she was shivering and about to fall into tears. Chen simply averted his gaze, having missed the fact that Xiao Zi was going to cry. He just told her that she and Yin Shui would have to live in the yard, which was inconvenient, so she could simply move in with her parents. Chen went with a bright smile on his face, believing that if her family lived together, their problem would be addressed swiftly. He mistakenly felt he was so clever doing this. Xiao Zi crouched down and wept quietly. Xiao Zi sobbed even more, and her mother consoled her in order to make her feel better. The empress told Yi Jinghong that Chen had no intention of making Xiao Zi his mistress. She then wondered how this could have changed. Yi Jinghong replied, looking down, telling her that they were nothing more than pawns for the senior, and that showing their emotions was blasphemy. He explained why the senior demoted her from the courtyard. Xiao Zi hugged her mother and told Yi Jinghong that the master had asked her to irrigate the mountains and rivers and nurture living beings. Isn't that all the mistress is qualified to do? She inquired. Yi Jinghong stared at her, heartbroken, and told her she was simply a commander on her way to conquering the world. Do you understand? He inquired. He explained that she had misinterpreted Chen's meaning. She wiped her tears and asked, if that's the case, why is the senior asking me about a love gift? She inquired. Xiaoqi stood out at that point, informing her that the senior wishes to personally experience everything that regular people do, like as getting married and sipping a Coke. He simply asked you not because he likes you, she explained. Yi Jinghong said, that's right, senior, he gave you a water pond so you could work. Yi Jinghong continued to inform her that who would believe that a watering pot would be a confession item. Finally, Xiao Zi sniffled, realizing that everything was simply in her head. Yi Jinghong approached Xiaoqi in the staff dormitory corridor and stated, Miss ID, I would like to question you about something, he said. Xiaoqi then informed him that he might address her as Xiaoqi, and she smiled and said that she would be a fan like him from now on. Yi Jinghong smiled and said, okay. He then told her that the senior wants to be like everyone else, talking about marriage and children. He interrogates her on what she meant by saying. Xiaoqi scratched her cheek and smiled awkwardly. She groaned and told him that she didn't know if Xiao Zi still had a chance. Both of them fell silent after that, and they both assumed that if senior truly meant it, he would remind them, so they will just wait until the moment arises. Yi Jinghong pondered which girl senior would like. Whether he likes people, or perhaps spirits. He doubted himself. Chen tilled the ground with a hoe and instructed his men to till the ground first, then add the seed. The seeds themselves were shining green, but Chen didn't notice since he imagined they were ordinary seeds that couldn't glow. Chen knew they were more exceptional than ordinary seeds, but he didn't know how much more special. Every worker who saw them, however, was taken aback. He then instructed them to add water once they were finished. After he finished teaching them, he informed them that's how you increase germination. He stated. Everyone applauded for him because they were impressed by what he had accomplished. As the god of agriculture, Chen possessed this ability. When the workers began to work, they noticed a green glow and were astounded to feel the spiritual force oozing out. The other told him to water it right away. The people Yi Jinghong hired were such hard workers after Chen showed them how to till the ground. They rushed to perform their chores as fast as possible, he thought. When the workers were working, there was a green aura throughout the field. However, Chen was the only one who did not feel it. Only the workers were aware of it, and it inspired them to work even harder. Chen recalls that when he was given the title of God of Agriculture, the system gave him the seeds, and it's almost gone in the blink of an eye. He noticed Yi Jinghong working harder than anybody else, and Chen reflected on how Yi Jinghong was the courtyard's job manager, yet he still does everything himself. He smiled, thinking how nice everyone was and how it was a shame he wasn't destined to be with Yi Qingwu. As he stated this, he sighed. While Chen was contemplating, he saw his hoe was rusty. When he was free, he resolved to offer him a new hoe. Chen immediately realized that the fertile soil on this mountain was limited, and that if he wanted to be affluent, he would have to start working on the side. But I'm not sure what I should do, Chen thought to himself. And he noticed Xiaoqi alone, staring at something. Chen approached her and casually inquired as to what she was doing. Xiaoqi glanced at him and said, "There's a beautiful bug over here," and she pointed to the bug, which was the colorful silkworm, and the bug just stood there, staring at Chen. Chen took a closer look at the silkworm and corrected her, assuring her that it was indeed a silkworm. He then inquired of Xiaoqi as to where it came from. Xiaoqi responded, saying she didn't realize it was there until she found it. Chen wondered if it can spin silk. Chen concentrated his attention on it. The silkworm shivered in fear. The silkworm noticed that the senior did not have the appearance of a martial artist. But his hand's pressure is immobilizing me. He was thinking this as he saw Chen raise his hand and unleash a large amount of power, and a silkworm thought that if Master didn't let me go, I wouldn't be able to escape, he mumbled, fearful of the pressure Chen was emitting from his palm. And Xiaoqi piped out, encouraging her brother to take a look. It's silk spitting. Chen laughed enthusiastically and touched the silk, adding that this silkworm's slick yield isn't awful, and that if he made a suit out of it, it would be quite popular. And as Qin Potion was tending to the water, he cast a glance at him. The silkworm was still terrified, but he was surprised to find his rainbow cloud silk, a world treasure, in his fingers. He couldn't figure out how he could easily separate it with 2 fingers. Chen turned around and called for Qin Potion. When Qin Potion turned around, he asked, "What's the matter?" Chen pondered if he'd ever seen a silkworm like this before, informing him of his desire to mass breed it. Qin Potion rubbed the back of his head and he responded, telling him that's the colorful jade silkworm. It's a type of jade silkworm, but it's unusual, and regular jade silkworms are plentiful. Although the silkworm's quality will not be as valuable as the colorful jade silkworm's silk, he believes it is still valuable. Chen replied, "I see." He then apologized for bothering him and told him to go get some jade silkworm back. Qin Potion was perplexed as to why he was apologizing to him for simply questioning him and commanding him to do things. Chen then urged him to come with him and that he would give him money first. Chen then handed the silkworm across to Xiaoqi, who stretched out to take it. While Chen and Qin Potion left, Xiaoqi placed the silkworm on a leaf and informed the baby silkworm to grow quickly. The silkworm began to feed, and as it did so, he thought to himself how delicious this was, and how each leaf was like an elixir. It's no surprise that the saintess murdered the old man. He realized it was Master's plan to save his tribe. Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu were crying and using the same handkerchief that Chen had given them, and Qing Yin spoke up, telling Yi Qingwu that she couldn't understand Senior's interpretation of the handkerchief and how he was ignoring her. Yi Qingwu said the lives of his 2 sisters is really hard. Qin Potion burst into the house, screaming to Qing Yin and Yi Qingwu that Senior had discovered a jade silkworm. He asked for assistance in locating more. Yi Qingwu was surprised and asked him loudly why Senior was seeking for the silkworm and if there was a cause. Could the Senior be dissatisfied with me since he instructed me to get the jade cicada wings from the first of disillusionment, but his genuine intention was to retrieve the jade cicada wings, she wondered? Yi Jinghong began to think aloud.
stating that Senior is hunting for jade silkworms due to their slick, and silk is required for waving, and waving requires. Both Yi Jinghong and Qin Potion said at the same time, women. Yi Jinghong blushed with humiliation since he thought Chen had assigned him an easy duty, but it turned out that his true intention for him was to find a female pawn. Qin Potion went on to say that they are both pawns and that they didn't recognize it sooner. When Yi Qingwu heard this, she had an idea, telling everyone that there was a palace of weaving women hundreds of kilometers away from the Forest of Disillusionment, and all of them are females who utilize weaving for the entire Taoist. And she assumed Chen was referring to that location. Qin Potion was determined to visit the palace, so he spoke out, instructing Yi Jinghong to escort him to this weaving palace. Yi Jinghong stopped him and told him to bring Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu with him to redeem themselves. When Yi Qingwu heard this, she was happy that her father was looking out for her. Yi Jinghong was aware that Chen had previously inquired of Xiao Zi about marrying and having children. He now dispatched Qin Potion to find female pawns. Qin Potion told Yi Qingwu, "Let's go." And Yi Jinghong chose to help Yi Qingwu win Chen's love, to alleviate her lovesickness. A portal appeared in another location, and a swarm of demonic animals emerged from it, and many of them began to change. When they had finished transforming, the commander who stood in front of them all muttered grimly, "The master said they should gather here." The leader was a little dissatisfied, and he stated that the mountain has nothing exceptional to offer, so why would he stay there? Another demonic sect member raged that the black ghost of a terrifying nation had been slaughtered, and it's apparent that someone is attempting to rule the planet before us, he stated. And he surmised that he might be on the mountain. That would be perfect, the leader said darkly. The evil leader grins and declares, "Today, we will catch them all at once." Xiaoqi, Xiao Bai, and Xiao Wu were salivating with delight at seeing something so wonderful, and Xiao Wu's face is so amusing that I don't know what to say. Chen warned Xiaoqi not to be hungry, and that eating it when it was uncooked might give her diarrhea, but Xiaoqi didn't listen and drooled even more. But after a split second, she returned to reality, and Xiaoqi informed Xiao Bai of an extraordinary shift. Outside the courtyard there was a dark cloud in the sky, and Yi Jinghong, Xiao Zi, Yin Shui, and the rest of Chen's army were preparing to protect the nameless mountain from those who wished to attack it. Yin Shui was surprised to see so many experts assembled, and the condensed aura had turned into dark clouds. Yi Jinghong turned around and inspired Chen's army by telling them about such a brutal killing. "They are not good people, and those who follow me are from the Zuxian Palace. We must not let those demonic bastards interrupt the master eating barbecue," he said. And Chen's army applauded, and everyone was fired up to fight for their master. And they all said, "Yes, sir." They all flew towards the demonic cult, shouting, "Fight for the master, defeat the wicked cult." In the outer sky area of the nameless mountain everyone stood there with their auras covering their bodies, and Yi Jinghong yelled, "How dare you bastards disturb master's barbecue? What a heinous crime! Return while you can," Yi Jinghong advised. The demonic leader responded by asking him to summon his master and die together. As he prepared to assault him, he smiled darkly and he prepared himself to attack. He then used his power to attack, and Yi Jinghong coughed up blood as a result of the blow. When Yi Jinghong watched everyone being attacked, he heard someone yell for him to help. He wondered if master would stand by and watch them die. Xiao Zi choked and thought to herself, "The master has given them a great opportunity, but they can't even deal with invading enemies, so what qualifications do they have to ask the master for help?" She then struggled to call for Yi Jinghong to help her. But Yi Jinghong did nothing. He merely looked down, sad, and thought to himself, why should they rely on master to take action when they have so much strength? Meanwhile, inside the courtyard, Xiao Bai raised his head and asked, "Why isn't the master assisting them?" "In master's eyes, all living creatures are ants," said Xiaoqi. She then questioned him, asking if he believes Chen is concerned about the lives of ants. However, as the battle and death were going on around him, Chen was unconcerned. He just spiced meat gleefully and told Xiaoqi that she may eat it immediately. He noticed something got up his nose after a second and tried to get it out, but he couldn't. His body instinctively prepared to sneeze. And he did exactly that, blowing away all the dark clouds with a single sneeze with a fraction of his power. Chen's army sensed that fraction of strength, and Yi Jinghong was perplexed as he looked at the leader of the demonic sect,
who was surprised to see Chen's power erase him and his army from existence. While being obliterated from existence, the demonic cult's leader questioned whether this was Chen's goal all along. Yi Jinghong, Xiao Zi, and Yin Shui were all shocked and horrified, and they all wondered what horrible realm he had reached. Somewhere in the sky, the dragon Ao Bei and the other dragons who were present were horrified by what had occurred, and Ao Bei asked his brother if he now believed her. Fear was making the red-headed dragon sweat bullets. Can father even tell them that he killed hundreds of people with a sneeze? He inquired. Ao Dong was the dragon clan's prince. Ao Nan, the dragon clan's second prince, was the other. And the dragon prince, Ao Nan, was also terrified. And Ao Bei was perplexed as to why her brothers were so terrified. The redhead dragon grabbed Ao Bei and yelled that they needed to hurry because they would be condemned if they were mistaken for the evil cult. Ao Bei was wide-eyed and begged her brother to wait, but he refused. Dragonvine was taken aback because this was the first time he had witnessed his master murder someone, and he had no idea the master could make heaven and earth pale simply by remaining motionless. He then inquired to the Elder Tree whether he can see the realm of Master. Elder Tree considered it, and he recognized that even though Master had taken action, he couldn't see it. The slender horse, Xiao Bai, Xiao Wu, and Xiaoqi all agreed that this demonstrated that Master's strength was only a fraction of his power. The ox was also astonished and afraid, and he told himself that this thigh had to bear it. In the palace of Zuxian, Chen's power blew out the walls of the Zuxian palace, shattering something on the wall. And this guy who had just stood up said that the Soul Jade tablet had cracked at the same time, and he wondered, could someone have murdered them all with one hit? The other guy sat there patiently, but he was surprised that the islands of the Eastern Sea were the weakest areas of the Shenwu continent, and he questioned it as well. How can such a person exist? The Demon Lord spoke, explaining that while the islands of the Eastern Sea are currently feeble, they are foretold to be the key to major changes in the world. Both of the mystery men who were listening were taken aback, but the Demon King proceeded to speak, telling them that they had created the Zuxian Temple in preparation to conquer the islands of the Eastern Sea. I didn't anticipate them to be someone else, he explained. He told them he was irresponsible, and he told Baihu, the brown-haired guy, and Suzuku, the guy with a mask, that they were now commanding commanders, and he had to retake the Eastern Sea Island for the Zuxian Palace. They both agreed and bowed. The man who stated he would assist Chen in locating the traffickers led him to Sun Wufang, the leader of the Sun family. Da Zhuang responded, saying that Chen had instructed them to find the traffickers. He then inquired as to whether or not he had located them. Sun Wufang instructed him that they should first discuss his story, as his finger with a golden aura reached out to his brow. And when Da Zhuang saw this, he was startled that this guy was still trying to fool him, claiming that he wasn't from the Sun family, but the elderly man didn't stop reaching out to his brow. And when he touched his brow, his eyes widened in surprise. He began to recall how he was born as ordinary spirit trash, and he was being held by his parents. And how his own clan abandoned him, abandoning him on the river. Finally, after recalling his past, his body gleamed gold when he was discovered by strangers who pulled him out of the river. Sun Wufang explained that he fused his Marians with martial spirits and asked whether he believed they were lying to him. Da Zhuang was taken aback when he realized he was a member of the Duzhan monkey clan. Da Zhuang was back to normal. He went on to say, Xiaoqi is a spiritual jade rabbit. He then inquired, what about the human traffickers Chen mentioned? Sun Wufang said that this is likewise related to the spiritual jade rabbit clan's secret. Sun Wufang understands that the spiritual jade rabbit is a descendant of the old colorful mythological beast jade rabbit, which is separated into male and female meridian, with male meridian exclusively producing male rabbits and female meridian producing both male and female rabbits. Gong Ling Yuan, the male meridian clan leader, offered a proposal to resurrect the first ancestor 3,000 years ago. In order for this plan to work, the mother had to be sacrificed. And to Xiaoqi's mother's generation, Tong Dan, who refused to be sacrificed and made delectable claims like the unachievable dream of the first ancestor, I'll exceed the first ancestor, she stated. Gong Ling Yuan was enraged by this behavior, which he ruined her mother, Meridian. Tong Dan fled with Xiaoqi but was assassinated on the way. So that's why Xiaoqi was crying, and why Yi Qingwu discovered her in the woods. Da Zhuang said what they had been waiting for, and Xiaoqi is now Chen's younger sister, so we must revenge Shaoqi, he stated. Sun Wufang stated that the spiritual rabbit is one of the most powerful monsters in the eastern region and should not be taken lightly. He advised them to question Chen about whether he intends to kill the male Meridian clan or make a deal with the Gong Ling Yuan. Da Zhuang agreed and said that they needed to go right away. In the reception rooms, Sun Wufang approached Chen and informed him that he had discovered the identity of the human traffickers. He said that they are quite potent and can be found anywhere. We can concentrate on catching them if we understand their qualities. Shaoqi began to cry, and Chen consoled her by encouraging her not to cry and to try to recall what they looked like. Shaoqi informed him she recalled, and it was the violent, ugly old guy named Jing Ling Yuan who murdered her mother. Chen was enraged after hearing this, and he remembered her telling him about her mother's death, but he didn't expect the human traffickers to kill her. While he was thinking in his head, his hair began to move erratically, demonstrating how sincerely upset he was right now. His eyes grew steely, and he spoke quietly, asking Sun Wufang if he had discovered him. Sun Wufang respectfully told Chen that he had already located him. When he heard that, a blue aura engulfed him, and he informed him he'd accompany him to slay the beast with his own 2 hands. He was not aware that he was emitting such a big amount of power, but everyone else in the room noticed it. He then turned around and thought to himself, I can't cultivate, and I can't fight you with a sword, but I have to be chivalrous, and he resolved to fight today. But he would get rid of evil and encourage good, he thought as his eyes glowed and his aura increased. Sun Wufang, Da Zhuang, and the other person were astounded to see his actual might explode into the sky and lightning strike the entire earth. First, the lightning struck Qingxi town, right on Yan Xiao Feng's sword. He was astounded to find lightning enveloping his sword. On Monster Island, lightning struck a tree, and he felt the tremendous power. And the third bolt of lightning struck the soldiers of the Zuxian Palace, prompting someone to ask, "What's this?" And someone exclaimed, "How terrifying!" And Bahu, who had his jaws wide in surprise, and Suzuku, who was also surprised, asked Bahu what that was. In the Dragon Palace, the old man dragon sensed it as well, and he realized that heaven and earth were shifting. He spoke as if he knew something. He noticed the lightning when he looked outdoors, beneath the water. He thought to himself, it has begun. Chen grinned and added that this is his most satisfied sword that he had forged, and that if it could be used, he thought it would be used for decoration. He informed them that he didn't think the day would ever come. He touched the blade with his finger, not realizing that his finger was encircled by qi. He then turned around. He observed Sun Wufang and Da Zhuang kneeling on the ground and shaking in dread, and even Shaoqi, who pretended to sit calmly but was shaking in fear, and he was shocked, so he exclaimed, "What's this?" Sun Wufang and Da Zhuang stood up, and the old man said that it was nothing and that he was only old. Why does he have to personally deal with human traffickers? The old guy asked. Why don't you hand it over to us? Da Zhuang consented quietly, still fearful of Chen's might. The old man reasoned that killing Gong Yuan Lian was the entire family's responsibility. Would doing it personally by the master render them incompetent? Shaoqi was equally concerned and informed him he didn't want him to put his life in danger. Chen grew depressed as he noticed her concern in her eyes. Chen understood he wasn't a martial artist, and he assumed everyone was scared he wouldn't be useful when he went there. Forget it. Why should he worry Shaoqi? He then decided to give Da Zhuang his weapon. He instructed him to take the sword and use it to subjugate them and express his rage. Da Zhuang was wide-eyed and said, I understand. After Chen handed over the sword to Da Zhuang, Shaoqi informed his brother that this guy was her mother's killer and his adversary, and she wished to exact personal vengeance. Sun Wufang responded to Chen by assuring him that he would bring Shaoqi back safely. Chen directed them to return as soon as possible and to safeguard Shaoqi at all costs. He ordered them without even knowing it. And Chen reflected that he had not expected Shaoqi to harbor such anger at such a young age. He then resolved to spend more time with her and teach her certain things in the future. Outside the courtyard, Chen warned Shaoqi to be cautious, but Da Zhuang assured him that they would defend Shaoqi at all cost. Shaoqi just said goodbye to her brother. Chen smiled inwardly, thinking that Shaoqi's living arrangements should be enhanced in comparison to the children on Earth. Shaoqi's living conditions are far too easy, he reasoned. He then summoned the Empress. He then inquired as to whether the ox she had brought was male or female. The Empress was at a loss for words. She was perplexed. wondering whether the master didn't know the gender of the prince of the Azure Ox. She did, however, note that he expressly asked her, "Is there a deeper meaning?" She wondered. Is it just me, or everyone is trying to find a deeper meaning to every word Chen is telling them? Chen said loudly that if it's a female ox, he'll be able to offer Xiaoqi milk every day, picturing Xiaoqi joyously drinking milk. And the bull exclaimed, "The master mentioned me." The skinny horse only stared at him, wide-eyed in surprise, and he was perplexed, seeing the ox go insane just hearing Chen talk about him. And the ox reminded himself that he was simply an animal. How will he finish his master's mission? His eyes bulged and he got that wild face when he was contemplating this. That's right, it's official. The ox has finally lost his mind. Anyway, the ox then looked at the horse and said to him, "Did you heard that? It's time for me to shine," he said. The skinny horse chuckled, informing him that he'd heard the master wanted a female ox, not a male, and that he wouldn't be able to make his debut in this lifetime. The ox, on the other hand, was adamant. He didn't care what he said, and he yelled that since this was master's assignment, he would complete it. He then exclaimed loudly that he would transform into a female ox, and where the bird is, it began to alter. "You can see right, of course you can anyway." It shined, and a surge of strength poured out of him, and the skinny horse was stunned at what he was attempting, and the ox summoned his sword to help change into a female ox faster. And as he shouted that he would be beneficial, his voice changed and began to sound like a woman's voice. When Chen and Empress heard the rumbling, Chen inquired, "What is that noise?" Even if he summoned his sword from the palace, the thin horse yelled that he was insane. He will be a yin-yang ox at most. The skinny horse was implying that the ox would have both genders. The ox replied, saying that the strongest soul in the Radish-Black Ox clan is known as the Great Law of Yin-Yang of Reversal. The ox then looked at him, and when he did, she appeared like a female ox. If anyone is curious about how this is feasible, just remember that it contains both production organs. Chen dashed to the ox and slender horse, and when he arrived, he yelled what had happened. When he spotted the ox on the ground, he went to the skinny horse and punched him in the head, yelling at him about why he bullied the female ox. The skinny horse felt wronged as he was being punched. Chen instructed Empress Ong Sog to have someone construct another cow pen, and she would take care of the ox. The Empress Ong Sog said no problem, bewildered about when the male ox became a female ox. The ox looked at him and replied, "Ha, little dragon. So what if you are a mythical beast, and if you're not needed as a male, just be a female?" The skinny horse was stunned and didn't say anything. He bowed and stated that he was blind to her grandeur and that she was incredibly cool. Chen informed Yi Jinghong that this vibrant jade silkworm weaves slick every day, and its productivity is astounding. Yi Jinghong simply observed Chen, who was staring at the jade silkworm. Chen then asked whether he might gather a group of workers to begin work on the silkworm breeder and textile factory. Chen then looked up, telling him that a brewery and horse track were almost ready to begin building as well. Yi Jinghong said, "No problem." Yi Jinghong happily thought to himself that the master's hidden duty assigned to Qin Potion was actually to recruit female pawns who could weave. "I was correct," he said. While Yi Jinghong was thinking to himself, the skinny horse was sweating bullets, as his eyes dilated in surprise, and he questioned himself when he heard what Chen stated about the horse track. He wondered if this meant the master wanted to take control of the dragon clan. He immediately turned into his real dragon form and grinned, exclaiming, "Master, you have finally assigned me a duty." "Ha ha 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 ha," the dragon laughed. Empress Ong Sog was taken aback when she saw a dragon, but she continued to collect milk from the female ox. In the palace of the weaving maids, Qing Potion, Yi Qingwu, and Qin Yin stood in front of the weaving maid palace's gates. Women were floating towards them, and the one in front spoke up, telling them that they are honored by their presence. She then inquired as to whether they required assistance. This was Chen Huang, the waving maiden palace young mistress. Yi Qingwu bowed and said she had a meeting with the lord of their palace. Chen Huang gave them an uneasy smile and instructed them to follow her. Chen Huang reflected on Yi Qingwu's cultivation, which she couldn't witness. Yi Qingwu was served tea by a maiden, and she sat in the weaving maiden palace living room like a proud, independent woman, graceful like a fairy. In astonishment, the other woman who was talking to Chen Huang told her that Yi Qingwu is unbeatable. Chen Huang was surprised that even her master couldn't perceive her cultivation, and she wondered why such a powerful person would come to their palace. Her master responded, saying she was only concerned if they were aggressive. She then approached Yi Qingwu, but she informed Chen Huang that she had no idea Ms. Yi Qingwu would be coming. "What is your purpose for being here?" she inquired of Yi Qingwu. Mei Qian Shui was the weaving maiden palace master. Yi Qingwu informed her that the weaving maiden palace had entered Taoism through weaving. "It's very remarkable to use heaven and earth as threads and the body as the loom." Mei Qian Shui replied, "How can we accept Ms. Yi Qingwu's erroneous praises?" She added that if there is anything they can do for her, she should ask. She then told her she would not stop beating around the bushes, explaining that they were there to recruit pawns for a hidden expert from the planet called Earth. She smiled and informed her that she must be upset at the prospect of becoming a pawn, but it is a tremendous fortune to be a pawn for the master. Chen Huang screamed angrily, stating that was preposterous, that their weaving maiden palace had existed for hundreds of years, that they had their own Dao fruit, and that they didn't need such fortune. Maiden Palace Master Mei Qian Shui calmly instructed her not to be rude. Yi Qingwu did not even bother to look at Chen Huang. Instead, she turned her gaze to the palace master, Mei Qian Shui, and narrowed her eyes, asking her, "What does she see her as?" Mei Qian Shui began to speak, but her nerves caused her to respond, telling her that her talent is peerless, devastatingly beautiful, and her cultivation is superior to hers, she stated. Yi Qingwu then unleashed her power, almost like a Super Saiyan. Anyway, Chen Huang and the palace master, Mei Qian Shui, were taken aback by her strength. All the power was gone when she clapped her hands. She reminded her that even if she is a discarded piece by the master, for them to be recognized by the master is a huge honor. "So, what's your response?" she inquired. Chen Huang and Mei Qian Shui both kneeled in surrender, and Mei Qian Shui informed her that they were willing to submit to the master. Chen Huang remained silent because she was depressed. Mei Qian Shui went on to add that they will diligently serve the Lord. In the palace of Zhu Xian, Baihu was on his knees, telling his master that these subordinates were ineffective. Then he pleaded, "Please punish us." The demon lord told them to take it easy, and he doesn't blame them because he can feel the sword energy from here, the demon lord responded. And with such a strong aura, 8 out of 10 elite soldiers. What should they do? Baihu wondered. "Fear not," he continued, "as long as we uncover the demon clan's prize, the heavenly demon's Chinese loot, and even if it's an elite soldier, they'll be gone with a single hit," he stated. The Demon King went on to add that not long after he left the scouts, they reported that they had sensed the Chinese aura of the heavenly demon. Baihu clenched his teeth and yelled, "Warren, Storm Ocean." The demon lord tapped Baihu on the shoulder and informed him that the Dragon Clan was also present at the roaring Storm Ocean. Back on the nameless mountain, Chen was cutting grass in the unnamed mountain when Yi Jinghong called out to him, telling him that the first batch of veggies in the greenhouse had already matured. Chen was surprised at how quickly they finished. "Behold," Yi Jinghong exclaimed, pointing at the grass. And his other men laid the grass, and Yi Jinghong reflected to himself that, as expected of the immortal seeds given by the master, they all grew into 9th grade spiritual herbs. Each one was priceless, he added. Chen's eyes widened as he touched the grass to study it. He informed Yi Jinghong that this was not correct. Yi Jinghong inquired quietly, wanting to know what he had done wrong. Chen reasoned that the seeds awarded by the system were superior to those found on Earth, yet green onions should not be this delicate. Yi Jinghong began to sweat nervously and inquired, "What wasn't quite right? Please inform me, Mr. Chen, so I can tell them to improve it," he said. Chen invited him to accompany him to his private plot, where he would explain everything in detail. Chen came at his personal plot. Yi Jinghong and the other workers were astounded to see the royal herbs, each of which was a royal herb. Chen used his skill as the god of agriculture once again. He then explained that before planting the seeds, a foundation fertilizer must be applied. After it germinates, add another scoop of fertilizer along with the equal amount of compost on the side. He goes on to say not to overwater it and to only water it when it's dry. This will keep it plump and fresh. "So that's how it's done." Amazing, all the workers said, and Yi Jinghong was amazed as well. Chen inquired as to whether the textile mill had been completed. Yi Jinghong said yes it is, and promised to join him to inspect it to see what further needed to be added. "I'm entering the nation of women," exclaimed Chen, in shock. In the textile mill nation, Chen arrived and noticed Qing Potion and all the women. Chen then seized Qing Potion and questioned him about who they were. Qing Potion replied that these were the weaving maidens he had hired. Chen was shocked, as he stated, "Weaving maidens?" Qing Potion raised his voice. "You see, they even brought their looms with them. They will not let you down," he assured. Chen laughed, explaining that the textile mill had just finished building today and that he had already assisted him in recruiting some weaving maidens. "Qin Potion, you know me far too well." Qin Potion chuckled, flattered by Chen's compliment. Yi Jinghong told him that mounting was thanks to him. Qin Potion simply smiled and said nothing. Chen then directed Yi Jinghong to organize the transportation of silkworms to the farm base. The weaving maiden will be stationed and living in the textile mill from now on. Yi Jinghong immediately agreed, pleased that his lord was directing him around. Chen laughed, telling Yi Jinghong and Qin Potion that he could now relax. He remarked, "I'll be going for breakfast now," and the maidens were taken aback by what they saw in the basket. Chen Huang inquired of her master whether those were royal herbs. Her master responded, telling her she was accurate, despite the fact that their palace only housed 7th grade spiritual plants. And to think he could get so many royal herbs so easy. Qin Potion said in surprise, "An emperor's weapon." He was taken aback and impressed. He wondered if that was the emperor's weapon. "This weapon was personally created by the master just for him," Yi Jinghong said. Qin Potion considered it, and he wondered if the master was a martial emperor. Yi Jinghong asked him if he was thinking only because the master had built an emperor's weapon. "Do you believe he is the martial emperor?" Yi Jinghong told him that he witnessed the master transform an ordinary piece of steel into an emperor's weapon. Qin Potion looked down sadly. Yi Qingwu had made a significant contribution to the subduing of the Weaving Maiden Palace, but she had refused to see the master. Yi Jinghong reacted, saying that he, too, tried his hardest to say great things for Yi Qingwu to stand up for herself with tremendous achievements and have the master recognize her once more. 2 people were going through the village late at night. And the 2 walking figures were Qin Yin and Yi Qingwu. Qin Yin examined the handkerchief, unsure what this note meant. A music sheet on an instrument. She inquired. Yi Qingwu did not respond to Qin Yin because she was thinking about Mr. Chen. They were walking when they noticed Yan Shao Feng forming his weapon. "Who is that?" Qin Yin inquired. She thought he was unusual for shaping his sword in the middle of the night. And Yi Qingwu was perplexed as to why he was here. When Yi Qingwu recognized him, she told her that his name was Yan Shao Feng. She clarified that he was the guy she previously mentioned. He was instrumental in furthering the conquest of the Fengming kingdom. Qin Yin explained to Yi Qingwu that his spiritual sense is so bad that they didn't notice it when they arrived. And Yi Qingwu said that he was already in a state of meditation. That's why he closed his eyes and saw him shape his weapon. She stated, "I'm sure Mr. Chen arranged for this training." After Yi Qingwu finished speaking, the handkerchief began to float, and they both got a golden aura surrounding them. Qin Yin, Yi Qingwu, and Yan Shao Feng were perplexed by what was going on. And they heard a wonderful tune being performed by Chen, and Yi Qingwu smiled as she realized it was Chen. In the Nameless Peak study room, Chen was still depressed at the rejection. He reflected on how, in recent days, Yi Jinghong appeared to be attempting to bring him and Yi Qingwu together, and Chen assumed that Yi Jinghong was unaware that Yi Qingwu had tacitly rejected him. He then severed the qi-enhanced string. And a handkerchief started to fall on the ground. Chen then sang a mournful song to himself. "Where can I find someone who understands me in this world?" Qin Yin coughed up blood, and Yi Qingwu was taken aback, not knowing what was going on. Qin Yin informed her she understood, and she introduced herself as Qin Yin, with musical notes embroidered on her handkerchief. She told Yi Qingwu that the Lord clearly wants them to look for a qin. "I believe the string Chen just severed is the qin. In any case, the qin is a Chinese 7-string plucking piano." "What are you doing here?" said Yan Shao Feng as he opened the gates. Yi Qingwu greeted him and introduced herself together with Qin Yin, informing him that Qin Yin had been hurt and asking if they might rent a room. Yan Shao Feng agreed, informing Qin Yin that he had overheard their conversation and that Master had asked Miss Yin to find a qin. Yi Qingwu concurred. However, she emphasized that they don't know what type of qin the Master is looking for. Yan Xiaofeng then considered it and told them that Chen is a man of tremendous skill and fortune, capable of exceeding the heavens and the earth. I'm afraid the only Qin worthy of him is the legendary heaven demon Qin. Qin Yin inquired as to the location of the heavenly demon. Yan Xiao responded by saying, telling her the heavenly demon Qin is the most precious treasure of the demon clan. Unfortunately, it was destroyed during ancient warfare. The remnants of the demon clan have recently appeared near the roaring storm ocean. They're probably looking for it, he stated. Yi Qingwu then used her power to create this lovely pink blossom appear in a puff of smoke, and she told him that they had met him thanks to Chen's direction, and they would not have known the existence of the heavenly demon Qin. Qin Yin nodded faintly when Yi Qingwu said she would heal her on the way, and Yan Xiaofeng said he'd join them. All three of them went, heading to the roaring storm ocean, where the treasure would be taken by the demon clan. How will Yi Qingwu, Qin Yin, and Yan Xiaofeng deal with this enemy? That's all for now. Hello, this is Dragon King. I'd like to tell you something before I fly off somewhere to rest. There will be a few name changes. Don't worry, the author has already altered the names. The first names to be changed are Yi Qingwu and the second is Qin Yin. I'll explain why in the comments section below.